Missed opportunities. Missed opportunities is perhaps one of the things that I heard from the other side of the aisle, and I agree with that. This legislative session did have many missed opportunities. And I would argue that it might be because of the fact that there was an absolute preoccupation with raising taxes. It was about who to raise taxes on. How much should we raise those taxes on? We've had a governor before that wouldn't raise taxes on people. Now we have a governor that will. Let's find those people. Let's find out who they are. Let's find out which businesses those are. Let's find out rich people. Well, which rich people? Let's pick those people. Well, let's pick this company over here. Let's raise taxes on them. What about that guy over there? Let's raise taxes on that guy. It has been a complete preoccupation with raising taxes. It's been about 8 years of Governor Pawlenty not raising taxes. Now we're going to raise taxes. But you know what you forgot? We forgot we have a job to do here. We have a balanced budget that we need to get to. And so preoccupied was the minority and the administration in raising taxes and finding someone to raise taxes on that we forgot about our job. We forgot about the fact that government is growing faster than the economy can pay to have it grow. We talked a lot about family budgets, yes. And you know what? You mocked us for it. You mocked us for talking about the fact that families across the state of Minnesota are having a hard time right now. We talked about the kitchen table, and you mocked us for it. You mocked us for having kitchen table politics and balancing the budget and living within your means, just like families and small businesses. Well, you know what? We're not ashamed of that. We're not ashamed of that. We worked hard, and we tried to get a government that is smarter and smaller and leaner and works better and works more like a family. Yeah, like a family budget. Works more like a small business with common sense, where if you don't have enough money in the till at the end of the day, you might go broke. So you got to do stuff different. That's what Downey was doing. Said we got to find ways to do things differently. Guilty as charged. We did that. We said we need to change things and do things differently. You didn't hear us because you were trying to find people to raise taxes on. When you traveled around the state, you didn't hear people when they said, you know what? We can't afford it. We're tapped out and we're fed up. You got to change the way you're doing things. You kept looking for people to raise taxes on. You did that. And you know what happened? You dragged us into a shutdown. You dragged us into a shutdown. We were here, we were looking at the clock. You know what? People at home, they don't care. They don't care about Republicans. They don't care about Democrats. They don't care about the governor. They don't care. They want this thing ended. They want a solution. The governor, to his credit, traveled the state of Minnesota after a long, hard session, after working with us in many times to try to find some agreements, try to find some ways to reform government. He traveled around the state of Minnesota in the longest shutdown in Minnesota history, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. And you know what he found? People didn't want their taxes increased. And he came back here and he said, you know what? I don't like your plan. You don't like my plan. Let's find some common ground and get Minnesota working again. So we sat down and that's what we tried to do. We have reform within the HHS budget that when you look at it and when you read it, I hope you finally do, it's been out there, we've been talking about it all year, that you're going to see that we actually have some reforms that are going to pull down, as Representative Abler and Representative Gottwalt will detail, almost $1 billion a year in net savings. Bending the cost curve, it's what they talk about. Wall Street Journal this morning says, you know what, in Washington, D.C., Representative Marquardt, they ought to look what they're doing in St. Paul. Maybe not just looking at people to raise taxes on, maybe trying to do things just a little bit differently. That's what the Wall Street Journal is saying this morning. Maybe you try to do things just a little bit differently. So as we move forward, we've got reforms in these bills that we're starting on that we're going to see how they work. We're going to take some chances. We're going to take some risks. We're going to move forward. In the next session, we hopefully will do. We've done Reform 1.0. We want Reform 2.0 in the next session. The governor has come to the realization that Minnesota does not want their taxes increased. We need to reform government. This is step one. I wish, Representative Thiessen, that we had more votes on your side of the aisle to be part of the solution. When we were in the minority, Governor Pawlenty said you guys need to put up a significant number of votes, a third to half at least, to be part of the solution. You weren't willing to do that. We wish you were. Every red vote is a vote to continue this shutdown. We need to get Minnesota back to work. We need to stop pointing fingers.